Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Tim and this is Run Tall. If you're new here, welcome to the Run Tall family. I'm really glad that you are here and you found us on YouTube. I post running videos every single day. Running shoe reviews, comparisons, and shoe battles. But I like to post a lot of other videos that are related to running as well, like training, recovery, and gear reviews. So if you're into that kind of thing, or maybe you're just looking for a daily dose of running, consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. On today's video, I'm comparing two daily trainers. Both of these shoes fall in that super trainer category. It's the Hoka Mach X going up against the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s. Now these shoes have a lot in common. A lot of similarities, but there are also some key differences. So we're going to talk about all of those things. And at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you which one I prefer and why. All right, so let's just get into the video. Let's talk about some of those similarities because, again, there's a lot of them, starting with the cost. Now, they do retail for $180 US each. They weigh virtually the same. Now, I ordered a US men's size 9, and on my scales, the Hoka Mach X, now they came in at 9.1 ounces, which is about 258 grams, while the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s, they came in at 9.2 ounces or 261 grams. So it was only 3 grams difference. So virtually they weigh the same. So weight shouldn't really be an issue when you're trying to consider which of these two shoes to buy. Let's take a look at the uppers. Now, they both have engineered mesh uppers, although Hoka says that this is an engineered jacquard mesh. I think that just refers to the type or machines that they use in order to weave that mesh upper together. Boy, they are really, really similar when you take a close look at them. I prefer the looks of the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s, but in terms of just how they're built, man, they're very, very similar. Okay, so let's first talk about the fit. Now, with the fit of these, in terms of the length as well as the width, they fit as expected. So no need to go up or down a size when you're ordering the Hoka Mach X. And I think that same holds true for the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s. Again, the length was spot on for me. Didn't feel like I needed to go up or down a size, and the width was perfect as well. So the fit on both of these, I think is just spot on for me. So again, order true to size. I think you'll be good to go. When we're talking about breathability on the uppers, they're virtually the same. And if I'm going to get a really close look at the uppers because they are so similar in just how they went about building them. So they both have these, additional types of strips of material that run throughout the upper. And then they've got these other strips that are more translucent that allows the air to flow. Now with Mach X, I was able to get snugged in and secure across the midfoot with no issues at all there. Traditional padding around the heel collar and the tab. Now these do have a more traditional heel tab, so you can see it kind of comes up and just flattens off there, right? I mean, that's what we used to see for years and years and years until they went to the Achilles heel flare, not that long ago, really. But they have that traditional style of padding where it rests kind of up at the top. It's a pillow style is what I always call it, and it kind of tapers down into that footbed. Same is true with the Achilles back here. You got lots of padding. Found it to be really comfortable. All of that creates a nice heel pocket for your heel to set in. I didn't have any heel slippage. It sets in really well. I was able to get locked in back all the way to that heel cup really easily. Now when we take a look at the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2, almost identical in terms of the type or way that they built that upper. They got these strips of types of material, and then they got these other strips that are more breathable. It's kind of a mesh, same as what we just saw. And so very, very similar in the design. Similar airflow, didn't notice a big difference there. Able to get locked in and secure really easily across that midfoot section of the shoe. And we'll take a look at the eyelet chain and the tongue and stuff like that here in just a second. But to continue on, we look at the padding, very similar, traditional type of a daily trainer padding. A lot of it rests up here at the top, slowly gently tapers down into the footbed. Now here you do have a slight Achilles heel flare, so there is a slight difference there, which is kind of nice if you want to use that to help get your shoes on, and I oftentimes do use that. But again, it just kind of tapers down, creates a nice heel pocket for your heel to set in. Didn't have any kind of heel slippage. felt like my heel was locked in securely in both shoes at all times. So no issues with the uppers at all with either one of these shoes. Both are very comfortable. And again, the breathability on these are, they're good. I wouldn't say that, again, they're overly breathable. But for a daily trainer, I think they did a good job, I think, in both cases. All right, so let's take a look at the eyelet chain on these. Now, this is the Hoka Mach X, and you can see that it's a traditional eyelet chain. I did remove the laces so that we could see the tongue a little bit better. Nothing crazy here, just very standard eyelet chain. And New Balance did the same. I like it when they keep it simple. If simple works, why change it? Why try to do something cute? Because sometimes that just doesn't work out. We've seen that in other shoes. So I appreciate the fact that both companies went with just something simple that works. All right, let's take a look at the tongue. The tongue on the Hoka Mach X is gusseted. As you can see, it's very thin, but they did add a strip of padding. And you can see that padding, how it sticks up there on the tongue, right exactly where I cinched my laces down. So I think Hoka got it perfect with the tongue here. With the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s, again, it's got a gusseted tongue. It's thin. Now, they don't have as much padding. They have a little bit of padding right there. And it is worth noting that a couple of times when I was out running, I had to stop because I typically do have to cinch up the laces pretty tightly in all of my running shoes because my feet don't take up a lot of volume in the uppers. And so I tend to have, just a little bit more room. So I have to, cinch these down a little bit closer. And when I did that, I'm going to show this shoe because it pretty much just came right off my foot. You see how that tongue kind of got bunched up there? Well, that did create some pain points right across my midfoot. So I had to stop, loosen them up, kind of flatten that tongue out a little bit, and then retighten them, and I was fine. It just took a little bit of finesse on my part to flatten that out so I didn't have any wrinkles in that material, which was causing, the little bit of a pain point for me. I didn't really have that issue with the Hokas. No more than usual, I guess, with any of the running shoes that I have, where I do tend to bunch up the material a little bit more than I would like. But that's something, again, is true for all of the running shoes that I have, for the most part. All right, so let's talk about midsoles, because that's really where the action is. Right? I often call that the engine of the shoe. So let's take a look at the Hokas first. Again, I don't have exact stack heights because Hoka doesn't give those to us, but it's pretty equivalent. It's going to be in the high 30s, maybe 40 millimeters in the heel. Now, they do have a 5 millimeter offset. Now, that's pretty typical for Hoka. That's kind of Hoka's sweet spot, right? So let's just say 40 in the heel and 35 up in the forefoot. It could be 39 and 34, but it's going to be right in that ballpark. And again, Hoka doesn't tell us exactly. They went to doing spring measurements. I don't know why. It would be nice if they went back just for basis of comparison to giving us stack heights. But what we have is we have a softer Peebo-based foam up here at the top. Then we got a Pebex plate. It's underneath that. And then as the out layer, we have a more traditional EVA style foam, which is a bit more dense and more durable for the midsole. And then if we take a look at the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s, they have their fuel cell foam. Again, they've got a plate, but they have a carbon fiber plate. They call it their Energy Arc that's embedded within that fuel cell foam. I would say the biggest difference for me is that the Hoka Mach X, that Pebex plate is a bit more forgiving, right? So when I'm running, I don't feel as stiff. It's still somewhat stiff, but it's more forgiving than that carbon fiber plate is. And I don't get quite the pop that I get in the carbon plate in the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s. But that's not to say that I feel like the V2s are a faster shoe just because they have pop or bounce. And I think bounce is the best word I can use for the SuperComp Trainer V2s. And I would say push is the best word that I can use to describe the Hoka Mach X, because when I'm running, I feel like I'm just getting a little bit of a push as I move through my gait. While when I'm in the SuperComp Trainer V2s, I feel like I'm just getting a bounce. I'm just bouncing off that plate. So consequently, I really like this shoe for the easy long run paces, a bit slower, where I'm just kind of bopping along, right? I'm just popping and bopping through my gait cycle. And it's really comfortable. It's pretty easy to maintain my paces. I like it for that. I don't care for it as much when I'm trying to do speed work. So when I'm trying to pick up the pace, you can. Definitely you can do that. I just don't like it as well as what I like in the Hoka Mach X. So let's talk about that here a little bit. So in the Hoka Mach X, like I said, you've got some push, and I've got a guest reviewer with me, as I can see. Bella joined me on the couch. And what I really like is it's really soft up here in the forefoot of the shoe, because look at how much of that softer PBA foam that you're landing on. It goes almost all the way down to the bottom, and then you got the plate. That PBEX plate is located much closer to the ground, right? So you're landing on a lot softer ground, and then it's a bit more of a natural, smooth ride. Now, these are really, really smooth running shoe. They don't feel clunky at all. I just feel like it's very graceful when I run in these. And because it's that natural, I feel like I'm really getting a nice toe off with that PBEX plate. Now, these don't feel quite as soft, honestly, up in the forefoot of the shoe. And I think it's because that carbon fiber plate sets up a bit higher. So you don't have quite as much foam between you and the plate. And so I don't feel like it's quite as soft a landing. And when I'm trying to pick up the pace, that carbon fiber plate is a little bit stiff. And it's not... If it were more aggressive plate, I think I would like it at faster paces. And I've really been giving this a lot of thought because I've talked about this shoe quite a bit recently. But they call it their energy arc, but it's not a super aggressive curve, right? So it's because it's more gentle. I just feel better at slower paces. If it were more aggressive, where I'm putting me more in a race stance or a faster stance or posture, then I think I would like it at faster paces. But because it's not, and it's a little bit flatter, for lack of a better description, it just works better for me at slower paces. So I think that's what's happening there. But regardless, the feel of these. Like the SuperComp Trainer V2s a lot at the slower long run paces. Like the Hoka Mach X at pretty much every pace. But I really like them for the faster pace. I like doing my interval work. I like doing my speed work in these. Feels really terrific. But when I wanted to go slow and just bop along, I took these out on a recovery run, easy run. They felt really good. So I think both shoes make great daily trainers. As far as that goes, but I think that the Hoka Mach X might be a slightly more versatile daily training shoe option for you. All right, so let's take a look at the outsoles. And since I got the Hoka Mach X in my hands already, they've got a pretty good amount of rubber here, but they also have a pretty dense EVA foam that they're using for outsole too. So if it is exposed, it's still going to hold up. And that's been my experience with Hoka shoes in the past. I'm running plenty of them, but they've got it basically in all the areas where you're going to need it to be able to protect that EVA foam. My prediction on these is 300 to 400 miles. I think that's a pretty decent amount of miles that we're going to be able to get out of these. And just so you know, I've got, I think about just shy of 50 miles, maybe 45, 47, somewhere around there, miles in the Hoka Mach X. Whereas I have over 100 miles in these, 102 miles, I think, at this point in the New Balance SuperComp Trainer V2s. And while they have rubber in all of the places where it needs to be, back in the heel and up around in the forefoot of the shoe, and then they got this cutout here where they expose that carbon fiber plate, and I'll talk about that here more in just a second because I do want to mention that plate. Unfortunately, the rubber's not holding up. Even though I have over 100 miles on these, and I've got not quite 50 on these yet. I just did a 100-mile shoe review on these, and I was really, really disappointed when I took a close look and examined the outsole rubber, because right where I land, which is in the midfoot section of the shoe and toe off up here, it's already wore down, paper thin. It is super thin. Another 100 miles, and I think it's going to expose that fuel cell foam. I think it's going to be right there exposing the midsole foam on me. And if not at 200 miles, I don't think it's going to be much past that. And then to make matters even worse, I don't know if it's this shoe or this one. Let me take. It's this one. So the outsole rubber is separating a bit from the midsole, so it's coming loose. So that just makes it even that much worse for New Balance. It might be just my pair. It might be a bit of a defect. Oh, and here's a question for you. I haven't done question of the days typically with my shoe reviews. I tend to do those more with the training videos, the everyday videos. Oh, and if you guys want to see these shoes in action when I'm out training, so I'm putting them through their paces, running different workouts, and I've had these both through all the different workouts that you could want to put them through, recovery runs, easy runs, speed work, long run, all that kind of stuff. If you want to see those, you can follow along with my Chicago Marathon training videos that I've been doing, because that's where I've been using these, is working that training block as I prepare both for the Chicago as well as the New York Marathon. So I'd love to see you guys over on those training videos. But the outsole rubber's wearing thin. It's coming off. So question of the day, have you guys ever tried to glue these back on there? Somebody else had asked me that question. I haven't answered them yet, but I considered it, but I'm not sure. Like if I use something like super glue, sometimes super glue can melt rubber products and things. So I don't know. If you guys have tried it, what have you used to put that back on? Because I definitely going to keep running in these, and I'm going to get as many miles out of them as I can. But it would be nice if I could reattach that outsole rubber, and it might make it last just a little bit longer. Okay, so, and I did want to make a note about this exposed carbon fiber plate. I'm catching a lot of rocks there. And I understand that both of these are neutral road shoes, but there are places just even on my paved roads and so on where there's gravel that's been kicked up, especially around corners, things of that nature. And I will catch stones on that plate, and it is a huge crack sound, and it's really disconcerting. I feel like I'm going to just snap that plate at one of these, at some point. So I think it's just something that, I wanted to make note of so that you're aware of it. So if you're considering buying these shoes, first, they're really noisy compared to any shoe, but especially to the Mach X, which is a smooth, quiet running shoe by comparison. But people will hear you coming when you're wearing these. Might be a good or bad thing, right? So if you want to alert people that you're coming up behind them, running on a loud shoe isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they are loud underfoot. And, I've dicked up this plate pretty good already, just in the 100 miles that I've had on them from stones that have hit it. It's chipped it up pretty good. So, all right. So in conclusion, I guess we're having said all of that about these shoes. They cost the same, they weigh the same, they virtually have the same type of fitting uppers. They're both about the same in terms of breathability, but it really comes down to the ride of the midsole. And I like the way that Hoka did this. I like the more forgiving PBEX plate in here for a daily trainer. I like all the cushion, and I like the placement of the plate being much lower here, so you're landing on a lot softer foam. And for someone with mid to 4 foot foot strikes like I do, that is heaven. It feels really comfortable. And I like how easy it is for me to be able to pick up the paces when I'm doing my speed work in these. And when I'm not picking up the paces and I'm just running a slow, easy run, they feel good there too. So I think overall this is a more versatile daily trainer. Now, if you want to emphasize or you want to use your daily trainer mainly for those slower, long workouts, I think this shoe does do a better job of that. The plate, the curve of this plate, like I said, isn't very aggressive. And so it just lends itself, at least in my opinion, to slower paces where you just want to bop along, and it'll do that really well. I don't feel like I have to put as much energy to maintain those slower, longer run paces bopping along in this plate as I do in something like the Hoka Mach X. So a long, easy run shoe, you can pick up the pace in it if that's what you want to do, but I think it excels at the slower, longer run paces, while the Hoka Mach X, I think does it all just a little bit better. So which shoe would I buy again and which shoe would I not buy again? I'd definitely buy the Hoka Mach X again. It feels great. I love running this shoe. I'll definitely put my miles in these and get my money's worth. And I will get as many miles out of this shoe as I can, but I wouldn't buy it again. And I wouldn't recommend it to others to buy because of the issues that I'm having with the outsole rubber just wearing off as quickly as it is. Now, it could be, in fairness to New Balance, that this is just a one-off. Maybe this is just a poor pair that I got off the assembly line, but I wouldn't take the chance. At $180, that's a lot of money. I expect a lot more from the shoes that I buy with that kind of a price tag for sure. All right. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching. And for subscribers, I'll see you tomorrow.